Hey everyone, welcome back to our monthly update going over the best looking and most interesting new upcoming PC games. Last month was a little crazy. We had quite a few great games come out between Dying Light 2, Lost Ark, Elden Ring, and we get that new Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons expansion. There is certainly quite a lot to keep us busy right now. Now March is looking a little calmer, a little less crazy in terms of maybe the quality of games coming out, but there are still a few new titles that I'll be keeping my eye on that I want to let you know about. So with that, let's go ahead and get right into it. As per usual, we'll be going in order of release date. A couple of games are actually already out right now. First up this month is Shadow Warrior 3. This is a first-person arena shooter, and as the name implies, it is the third in the series. Now, what's interesting here is that this is actually quite a departure from the sequel, which added these co-op elements and added this loot system and more dynamic levels. Well, with this third installment, they sort of went back to what the first game was trying to do, but then also combined its gameplay, pacing, and style with that of Doom 2016 to be a modern day arena shooter. Now, I've got my review up already. My ultimate takeaway was that it is a very competent and well-made game, but I did leave feeling a bit underwhelmed with just how short the game was, clocking in at around 5 hours, and it has no real replayability. There's no new game plus, there's no chapter select, and there's really no options to get more time out of the game beyond just starting over from the tutorial mission and running through it a second time. Now, for some games that would be fine, but with Shadow Warrior 3, there's no variety in it either. It's super linear. They don't do any mixing up of the enemies, like adding modifiers or even changing which enemies spawn in every arena. They don't do anything. So your second playthrough will be laid out and presented precisely like the first, which really takes away the desire to do multiple runs. It's not a bash on linear games. There's nothing wrong with linear games, but to have a linear game that is also so short with no new game plus or any variety to the game's layout, it just means that after that first 5-hour playthrough, you're probably going to be done with the game. Now, all of that said, the game itself is super fun to play, and that's actually why I'm so torn. The combat and movement feel great. You're zipping around the map, dashing and double jumping, climbing on walls and using a grapple hook while blowing away these crazy looking demons into smithereens with your arsenal of weapons. You got a pistol, a shotgun, SMG, grenade launcher, a katana to slice enemies up that's got like elemental effects. There are finisher moves that once charged let you instantly eliminate an enemy, and then depending on the enemy type, you'll get a buff or a weapon or some other useful item. And all of it happens at this like super frantic, unrelenting pace. The moment-to-moment combat is really good. It's smooth, it runs well, it looks good. I mean, I enjoyed playing Shadow Warrior 3. There's absolutely no question, but like I said, for all of the other reasons, it's kind of hard for me to recommend the game to most people who may want more than 5 hours out of a $50 game. Now, this launched on March 1st. As of this recording, reviews are already available. Taking a glance at some of them, it seems like a lot of people more or less echo my general sentiment. So I guess the bottom line is, if you're okay with a shorter experience, doing one playthrough and probably being done, then yes, Shadow Warrior 3 is well made and it is fun. I just think it's important to know what you're going to be getting for your money. Next up on this month's list is Elex 2, an open world sci-fi RPG and the latest installment in a long line of AA RPGs from developer Piranha Bytes. They also made the Gothic games, Risen, and of course the original Elex. Now, most of their titles have quite a strong cult following, and they're known to deliver this immersive and at times a little rough, but in the charming kind of way, games. And of course, their hope here with Elex 2 is to deliver a similar experience to the prior title. Unfortunately, things are off to a bit of a rocky start. This also launched on March 1st, and at the moment, it's sitting at a mixed rating on Steam. There appear to be a few things bogging this one down. The most common complaint that I saw were about the camera and FOV settings. They were just like way too close and not adjustable apparently, and it just made the whole play experience a little nauseating for people. And then also, unsurprisingly, it's a bit janky in areas, from the faces and animations to the audio quality, the translations of the game, and just the overall visual appearance appears to leave much to be desired here in 2022. Now, I said unsurprisingly though, as these games have always had their fair share of rough edges. The genre itself is often referred to as Eurojank, and that is for a reason, but it's done so in sort of an endearing way. These games are far from perfect, but they're not aiming to be perfect perfect either, as in general, they are overly ambitious and underfunded, so it's important to keep expectations in check. That said, you know, not everyone's going to be interested in this kind of experience. It's definitely very niche in a lot of ways. Now, on the plus side, it seems like the positives suggest that this is another interesting and immersive Piranha Byte RPGs. So if you have enjoyed this style of game in the past, this one may very well be up your alley. It's not perfect, it's got its issues, but most of these games do. Elex 2 is available now for $49.99. Babylon's Fall is the latest over-the-top action combat game from famed developer Platinum, most known for, of course, for Bayonetta and the Nier series. This latest game looks to take the gameplay that they've become known for and add on top of it this co-op multiplayer live service experience. By all accounts so far, this game is a massive whiff. I jumped into the early access release and I've played for about 4 hours. I just do not think this is a good game at all. First impressions were pretty horrible. For one, the visuals are straight out of early 2000 game design. I mean, I know aesthetic choice is a thing, but this looks incredibly dated. Everything looks low resolution and blurry, which is not at all helped by their strange decision to put this like smudged looking filter on the camera. It literally looks like someone rubbed grease all over the lens that you look through while you play. And I'm not kidding. It's just constantly covered in these smudges. I know this was purposeful. It was a style choice for their visuals. I just think it looks awful. But you know what? Hey, visuals don't make or break a game. The gameplay is much more important. And this is a Platinum's game after all, so combat is probably good, yeah? Well, I'm sorry to say no, it seems. I constantly felt like I was struggling against this game's controls. I initially started playing it with a gamepad because that's how I think you should play these kind of games. It just felt awful. It did not feel and move good. So I switched to mouse and keyboard, and that really wasn't much better. Everything just felt a little too clunky for my liking, and I have played plenty of action games before, but this one is just not clicking. The way they handle targeting, the character movement, attacking, just everything, 4 hours in, and I felt like I was struggling no matter what I tried to do, no matter what keybinds I swapped around or just switching between the gamepad and the mouse and keyboard. I could not get in a good rhythm with this game. And none of that is to mention the monetization. They have gone 100% overboard with every type of transaction you can imagine. It is fully priced at $60. There is an in-game cash shop with the ability to purchase items and a premium currency, and they're also selling a season pass. The only thing missing here appears to be the loot boxes. So yeah, unfortunately, it looks like Babylon's Fall is just not that good of a game, which is a shame because I was really looking forward to this. I am a sucker for live service loot games, and when I heard Platinum was making one with the pedigree that they have for delivering good combat, I figured this would turn out great, but so far, again, 4 hours in, I am really disappointed. I might keep going though, see if my opinion turns after some more time, but so far it's not looking good. Now, despite everything I've said though, if you are still interested in the game, this will be launching on March 3rd for $59.99, and you might ask, Force, why is this game on this list? It's supposed to be the best looking new games. Like, look, here's the thing. There are only so many new games that come out every single month, and I try to showcase 10 new PC games coming out. Some of them are just going to end up turning out to be bad. You know, I mean, I can't help it. Anyways, I just, you know, someone might enjoy this. It's probably not going to be you, but I still wanted to let you know about it, okay? Have a Nice Death. This is a hand-drawn 2D action roguelite where you play as Death, the founder and CEO of Death Incorporated. Things aren't going well at work, and you need to go around the office keeping your subordinates in check. According to the Steam page, some basic info about this game says you will explore a procedurally generated Departments of Death Inc. It's got fast-paced hack-and-slash combat with over 30 unique weapons and spells. You'll use what you've learned and earned to overcome the numerous minions and bosses in every department of the game, and then after each run you'll be unlocking interesting items and upgrades that will help you progress forward. I just think this game has a really slick art style. I loved the way it looked from the first reveal. It's also got a really cool tone. I just love Death and the attitude that he has. He just seems super annoyed with everyone at his company, and he's like, all right, I gotta go beat you guys into shape here. So this is going to be entering Steam Early Access on March 8th. There's no price listed at the moment, and they do say in their plans here that they intend to be in Early Access for about 1 year as they work towards version 1.0. I'm really excited to tell you about this next game. It's called Tunic. It is an isometric action-adventure RPG that completely wears the Zelda inspiration right on its sleeve. I mean, just look at this thing. It's as if they took the old school Zelda games and made them today with modern tech, and you played as a fox. That is Tunic. The adventure starts out with you washing up on a beach, and then your first weapon is this twig that you find as you go about searching for your very first sword that's lodged in a stone. Health in this game is displayed in these segmented hearts where you will lose a piece every time you get hit. And even the menu and map have this like old school RPG paper manual, like physical paper manual look to them, and I find it super nostalgic. The developer says that Tunic will be focusing on three things: the exploration of the world, fighting of monsters, and then discovering secrets. In fact, they've got this Metroidvania-like progression where you will need to find certain items in order to access new areas and push forward. I also feel like this has a super like cutesy but also like appealing and adventure-y look to it. Just everything about this I find really, really enjoyable and pleasant. That's the word I would use. Tunic launches on March 16th, no price at the moment. The Settlers is a city building real-time strategy game where you will gather resources, build up a base using roads to connect your various infrastructure, and then work towards advancing and creating a thriving settlement. Some of the game's features include these three separate factions: the Alari, who are craftsmen and builders. They've got strong buildings and they find resources quickly. The Maru live in harmony with nature and excel at trading and building defenses. And then the Yorn are these fast and relentless attackers. They say that each faction will have these unique units that carry special gears. There will be three separate game modes: a single player campaign, competitive multiplayer, and then the Onslaught mode, which is said to offer unique challenges for more skilled players. You will also have full control of a military in this game. There will be support and siege units, and you'll use these to defend your settlements. They also say that the combat is connected directly into the economy, where if you have a stronger economy, that will in turn translate into a stronger army. The maps will be varied with all sorts of interesting locations and landmarks that you can even capture to gain these special rewards. The map will also be full of these bandit camps. You're not just going through and gathering resources. There will be enemies that you have to navigate and engage with. There will be trading, research, and food boost systems. They are also saying that there will be a lot of customization in this game. Now, when they talk about this, Ubisoft was saying that their goal here was to bring the core values of this series into the modern day. However, already I have seen quite a bit of discontent around the game. Mainly, this criticism that I've seen seems to focus on the fact that they've strayed a lot from the original. The original series was a really, really super deep city building game, and people are afraid that this remade version is looking way too simplified, way too stripped down, and maybe even more akin to just like an RTS than a city builder. I guess we'll see when this thing comes out on March 17th, and it'll be releasing for $59.99. Expedition Zero is a single-player survival horror game set in this place called the Anomaly Zone in the heart of Siberia. You'll be exploring this corrupted forest and abandoned research facilities to uncover the truth behind this missing top-secret expedition. As you explore, you are constantly being hunted by these various corrupted creatures, and also this massive, horrifying forest monster stalking your every move. The environment will also be an obstacle. With limited resources, you'll have to try to survive these extreme conditions. You'll be searching around, looting and crafting useful items, establishing save points, and then also searching for answers to what happened. Now, Expedition Zero is the first game being developed by the studio Enigmatic Machines. It is launching on March 24th. There's no price at the moment, although there is a demo currently available on the Steam page if you want to give this thing an early look. GhostWire Tokyo is the newest title from Evil Within developer Tango Gameworks. This supernatural open-world first-person action-adventure thriller is set in an eerie, haunting vision of Tokyo. The city has been overrun by these deadly supernatural forces, causing the population to vanish. You awake just after this vanishing, and then team up with a powerful spectral entity on a quest for vengeance. You're going to explore an open world that blends this like sci-fi tech and magic with supernatural elements and enemies. The game has this really unique look and design to it, from the world to the abilities and the creatures you fight. There is a clear, distinct design here that I find quite appealing. It's got first-person combat where you'll be utilizing magic to fight back these deadly creatures. You harness an arsenal of abilities through the art of what they call ethereal weaving, channeling wind, fire, water, and like this magic sci-fi tech. There's a skill tree. You'll have these points that you can spend to upgrade various abilities, and then outside outside of magic, you're also going to have access to some more traditional weapons and tools for combat. Traversal and exploration are also a central part of the game. There's a grapple hook, you've got jumps and dashes, you can even transport into other dimensions, and you'll be going through uncovering the mystery and also clearing out the dangerous fog that is laid over the city. You'll go into these foggy areas with these paranormal creatures that you clear and then cleanse the area, removing the fog. So far, this game has showcased very well. They released a 20-minute gameplay video last month, and everything just looked fantastic. Just the setting and the character design, everything about this game looks really, really good. GhostWire Tokyo will be launching on March 25th for $59.99. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is a Borderlands spin-off where Tiny Tina is basically narrating a game of Dungeons and Dragons. Instantly, this thing reminds me of that Borderlands 2 DLC, Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, which as far as I can tell is almost exactly the same concept, but we're just getting this updated version and a full game of it. So the game features something unique though. There's this tabletop inspired overworld where you'll be walking around with these miniature versions of your character to discover quests, dungeons, and and come across various random encounters. It's sort of like a 3D level selection screen rather than just interacting with a menu. Gear will have a greater like fantasy theming here. There will certainly still be loads of basic guns, but you'll also have access to more traditional fantasy themed weapons and spells. There will be a class and stat system, so you're going to pick a main class, invest skill points into whatever tree you want to tailor to your playstyle, but then you can even multi-class, combining skills from multiple class types. It's also got a traditional fantasy setting. There's these oversized majestic mountains, mushroom forests, sprawling cities, and foreboding fortresses. I find this whole thing really appealing. High fantasy is one of my favorite game settings, and I like what I've seen from the gameplay reveals so far. I guess we'll just have to see if I can stomach a full game's worth of Borderlands humor anymore. Either way, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands will be launching on March 25th. There's no price at the moment. Let's just assume it'll be $60. And last up on this month's list is Weird West, an action RPG set in a fantasy reimagining of the Wild West, where you'll be playing through the adventures of 5 heroes with these interwoven destinies. Besides being a top-down ARPG, this is also very much so an immersive sim. A lot of simulation sandbox elements. In fact, the team making this game consists of some of the main members who worked on the original Dishonored and Prey titles, and they're really taking many elements from both of those games and applying them into Weird West. They've said that it is being designed to accommodate a lot of different playstyles and to encourage multiple playthroughs. You can focus on the combat, deception, or stealth, or some combination of it all, and there's going to be a lot of tools and systems in the game to engage in that can really alter your approach to any given scenario. In terms of setting and visual direction, they say that this mixes 3D and hand-drawn textures. It's a supernatural Wild West vision, and it's also going to mix the scripted and dynamic events. They've got this conductor that will create events and craft a narrative unique to your playthrough and what you've done in your game. And they also say here that the actions you take are permanent. If your companions die, they will be dead for good. Any NPCs, even quest NPCs you kill, will stay dead, and this is going to result in really changing up your experience. So this looks really interesting. I like what I see of this. This will be launching on March 31st for $39.99. Before we go here, a couple other quick notes. Also out this month, Valheim has got its mountain update releasing on March the 1st. We're going to be seeing Spellforce 3 Reforced. This is like a remastered version of Spellforce 3. This is launching on March the 8th. And then also Assassin's Creed Valhalla has its Dawn of Ragnarok DLC, will be coming out on March 10th. And that pretty much does it for this month's list. Checking out the 10 best looking new games to pay attention to on PC this month. That was a hard sentence for me to spit out. Thank you guys as always for watching. Hope you enjoy it. I have started doing and will continue to do more detailed individual looks of games. I know I've got, the news show that I do, and this top 10 of like preview of upcoming games, and the review stuff I've been starting to do, and I am intending to do more often. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.